It's Friday the 1st of November 2024 today, and when I came into work I was carrying a little bit of a cold given to me by my daughter and her chums at nursery. Anyhow, when I'm in a bad mood, when I'm full of cold, I get a little nostalgic. I don't know why. And in that state of nostalgia, I thought, there's a thing for a video. Why not give people a little bit of a tour of the history of James and the coffee roasting equipment that he's used through time? So, for those people who've never been into the roastery, I have 3 roasting apparatus, one of which is in operation, 2 of which are either museum pieces or soon to be resigned to museum pieces. So I'll just walk you through the 3 apparatus that I've used, give you a brief overview of them, and at some point in the future I'll do an in-depth analysis as to why I moved from one to the other. This here is the very first roaster that I started roasting on, and I did this in 2008-9. This was my father's before me, and it is a Diedrich IR-3. The IR is a description of the burners that are inside of this part of the roaster, IR being infrared burners. The infrared burners were supposed to be good at managing heat and allowing you to be able to produce decent coffee through time. The irony is this was the hardest roaster I've ever used to roast on, and that's because it has a single skin drum wall, and the burners, which I'll show you in another video, are incredibly close to the actual drum wall itself. Plus, these burners were hideously underpowered, which meant that for every 3 kilos I should have been able to roast, I was actually only able to roast 1. What a nightmare. I spent between 2008-9 through to sometime in the autumn of 2014 roasting on this. And it was at that point that I had made the purchase of our Probat, which is the next machine that I'll show you. This is the Probat. I purchased this machine in 2014, and by the autumn of 2014 this was in operation. I was roasting on this machine then for 10 years until the newer machine, the Loring, landed. This is what took me from being a hideous coffee roaster to a less hideous coffee roaster, not because I had improved my skill set, but because the mechanical engineering inside of this was just so much better than the IR3 model of the Diedrich. Inside of here there is a double skin wall, which meant that I wasn't tipping and scorching my coffee anymore, which was a joy. I moved up from a 3 kilo batch size nominally, which was actually 1 kilo, to a 12 kilo nominal load mass. I was actually roasting on a 9 kilo load because I found that I had the greatest fidelity there, but there was a very, very significant increase in my output, which meant that I was able to spend more time with my customers. I was able to spend more time in research and development, in profile development, basically just being better at what I did. This machine was a joy to roast on, and I miss it. There's some part of me that misses the manual element of roasting on this piece of apparatus. It's now November in 2024, and I haven't roasted a batch on this since January 2024. This is supposed to be a redundant capacity within the roastery, such that if the Loring has an issue, I can fall back on this. I actually do need to do a full service on this, and there's many parts that I will now need to replace because it hasn't been used for that period of time. But here we are. This is the Probat, a Probatone Series 2. There are newer series now, and this was my baby. In March 2003, I had the bonkers idea of buying another roaster. I didn't need to for capacity reasons, but I really wanted to for quality reasons. I wanted to be a better coffee roastery, and I wanted to be a better coffee roaster. So what I did was I committed to buy a Loring S15 Falcon. And there it is. This uses stainless steel as its material of construction as opposed to cast iron with that drum roaster. There's a whole bunch of other technological improvements, or let's say differences. The main being that the burner is located outside of the machine, and heat transfer happens through hot air that blows through the bean mass. Whereas inside of the Probat, there is a flame underneath a rotating drum, and there's an awful lot of heat transfer that happens via conduction. It's the heat transfer via airflow that makes this Loring and air roasters so amazing at being able to create clarity within the cup. the hot air just envelopes the coffee beans and you get better penetration of that heat into the core of the coffee. I hope this has been a nice little overview of the coffee roasters that I have used since I started roasting in 2008 and 9, from the Diedrich IR-3 through to the Probatone Series 2, through now to the Loring S15 Falcon and the different burner technologies and heat transfer mechanisms that they have all used. In time, I'll do a deep dive analysis of each of the equipment, their pros and cons, and what I might do if I were to start a roastery all over again. And there you have it, roasting at BlendingRoom over the years. I hope you have a great week.